Hello and welcome everyone. I am Sky and this is Automated Realism. Now, between this and last time, I realised why Wind wasn't working. Now it's because I have the median speed here set to 0, which means we have no weather. So I've bumped it up to 2. And we will see if that is adequate. If not, we might bump that up to, I don't know, maybe 5 or something. And of course, we also have extreme weather events ticked, so it'll be interesting. But that is not where I wanted to start today. What I wanted to do was take a little look at some of the code. So I want to wait for the vessel to load and only execute if we have a connection home. Because of course if we this won't be a problem for a sounding rocket, so I don't actually know if we need this, but if you try and run a file in the archive without a connection to home, it will just fail because you can't connect there. This definitely wait until I think it's ship to unpacked. Yes. If the ship is not fully unpacked when we start executing, then this will just fail, and we don't especially want that. What else was I thinking? Oh yes, I kind of wanted to make this a little bit nicer. So, for the mission elapsed time, I'd really like some sort of padding. And the altitude, I'd really like it to automatically convert to SI, and maybe also have some padding. We will think about it. Actually, this is a staging trigger. I'll always stage when thrust hits 0. I'm wondering whether we should have a small weight like 0.1. Also, I'm thinking maybe we have a just trigger section as a whole. So maybe we do mission time trigger. So we can do something like what would you do? So we could do like on the floor of mission time, sorry. So yes, we could do now the thing about this trigger, we're probably going to want to function to draw mission elapsed time, because we're going to want to trigger it both immediately and also inside this trigger. And the specific thing about the on trigger is this essentially executes as a function, and in order to preserve it, rather than using when, you have to return true. And one of the things to bear in mind about KMS triggers is these should be small code blocks so that you don't interrupt the program flow, and then it sits in this trigger for, I don't know, 30 seconds. That would be considered poor. So we're going to want to make this smallish, but I don't think this needs to be particularly difficult. Anyway, so we're going to definitely want to print 18. We're basically just going to want this. And I'll think about something here to make this look nicer. And I'm wondering, do we want the same with altitude? No. I think this is something we might want to reuse later on, whereas this is code execution to keep the script running. And again, we're going to want to do something like convert to SI. Let's just call it something like 2SI. And we're going to want to 2SI or altitude. And we're going to want to have to deal with all of the suffixes. So in KOS, in order to get it to accept a function, you do function arguments. Those are parameter, and we want to call this the number parameter. And maybe we'll want to say how many places we're rounding to, but I don't want to always define this. Maybe places is 2 by default. So how do we figure out what the closest SI number is? So first of all, we need to determine the largest power of 1000 smaller than our number. Divide our number by that power and append the SI unit for that power of 1000. And I think I want this to be generic, so we'll do something like becomes 179.01K. So I think we will still want to append the units that we're doing here. So how do we determine the largest power of 1000 smaller than number? Well, we can use a local variable here, or we can use a global variable. I'm going to stick with local so that everything stays within the function. So yeah, that's the power that we want is we kind of want to this thing. So yeah, the power is equal to the log base 10 of that number divided by 3. So for example, if that is 1000, then log 10 of 1000 is 3, so that goes to 1. But if this is 2000, with log base 10 of 2, which I think it's 3.2. I want to say 3.3 or something off the top of my head. So that would go to like 1.06. I'm just kind of pulling numbers out of my here. So we actually want to take the floor of that. So floor of this 10 of the number divided by 3, and because we're dealing with logarithms, we want to make sure this number is always positive. Power is floor of log base 10 of the number divided by 3, so that gives us the largest power of 1,000, smaller than a number. Maybe we want to, if number else 0, so that if the number is false, or sadly is choose one of the two. So that if the number is 0, then we just return 0 as the power. Okay. So how do we divide our number by that power? So that would be local. What do we want to call this? I suppose 1,000. I can spell. Is number divided by 1, 2, 3 to the power of pow. Okay. So the other thing we need to have is SI prefixes, which I'm going to call prefixes, and we're going to use a list in KMS. So what are the smallest prefixes we imagine ourselves using? Probably nano. And then I'm going to copy mu from over here, because I have SI prefixes open, because I thought I would want this. Then we want milli. I'm going to put an empty string for no prefix. Okay. What is the largest SI prefix that we want? Well, if we're going to put something like altitude, at some point we do envision ourselves going around the sun, so we might want up to 1,000 to the 8th, sorry. So maybe we go all the way up to yonder. Nope, that should be power. And then what we can do is append prefixes of power. And so if this comes out to nano, this will be -3, but this list starts at 0, so we want this to be +3, and we'd also really like this to not exceed the bounds of our list, so let's do minimum of 8, maximum of -3. So this ensures that we don't exceed what our prefixes can write. So I guess that is good. Oh, we can just return. Which is excellent, and we never even used places, because we wanted to round this to some number of places. There we are. excellent. Although, as we discussed here, we don't really want it to round. We want it to convert to a specific number of decimal places. So let's write another function to do that, 2 decimals rather than rounding. And we want it to take a places argument again, probably. So I'm actually going to move this up here, all the way to the top. Oh, I've accidentally just copied blank rather than that. That's stupid of me. And I'm going to functions. Number 2. Round to n decimal places, and that is function 2 decimals. And we know again we want this to take a number and a places and let's do 2 by default again. So how do we do that? Well, let's reason about this. The first thing we want to do is figure out how many decimal places do we have already. If that's too many, we want to round, and if not enough, we want to append some zeros. So, yeah, and if nothing needs to be done, just return the number. So I'm going to put that as return number here. So, how many decimal places do we have? That could be... Actually, I am going to set number to the rounding of number places. So now, this is already done. And when we return this, if it's too many decimals, this will already be perfect. So we now only need to worry about this. And we only actually need to worry about this if places is greater than 0. So if we pass in 2 decimal of 0, then it will round to 0 decimal places, and we don't need to worry about appending zeros. And I don't know why I've used a curly bracket there. So what can we do? Well, there is the string operation, which is something contains that. So if we convert this to a string using concatenation, we can do if number contains that. Oh wait, we don't need to worry about that, because if this is greater than 0, this will contain that by default. Although what if it doesn't? We're going to want to ensure the number to number plus and then that. Okay, so we've got a decimal there. So this is for if we want something like 2 decimal of 2, 3. We'd really like that to become 6781.00. But if we don't have this decimal point, then we can't look for any a separator, so we're going to want to append that. So now all we need to do is append zeros. Okay, so string operations, we do have padding left and right, which is what we want to be doing. So we can do set number to number colon pad right, and we want to pad it right by if we have 2 zeros already and we want 3, so we need to count the number of zeros after decimal, subtract, yes, and we want to subtract places from this number and then append that many to them. Yeah. Okay, so we want to pad right by places. See, of course, pad right is the entire length of the string, so if we have, say, and we want that to become 7891.000, we don't want to pad right by 2, we want to pad right by 8, because this string has length 8. So what we want is plus number find where is the decimal point. So we pad by up to the decimal point plus the number of places we're rounding to. And also plus 1 because this only goes, it's 0 indexed, whereas a string of this, for example, number.find would be 0, whereas we actually would want this to be 1 plus 3. And this pads an empty string, so what we want to then do is replace any blank characters with a 0. And then we can return the number. Okay, so I think those changes are good, and we didn't save this. Now I'm wondering whether we should count like this, or whether we should add a basically wait for user input so that we don't immediately launch when we're sat on the pad. And that might be useful. Okay, so an easy way to do that is to try and read the terminal because it's blocking. So what we could do here is terminal colon is it input? Yes, and then getChar. So now until we type anything in the terminal window, this will halt execution further down. And also I'm thinking this looks, you don't know, that's fine, we'll do another prettier pass later, but I think I am happy with all of this. And we don't actually need this weight of 1.0, so I'm going to bring it down to maybe 0.25. We'll update our altitude every quarter second. Yeah, okay. let's go and see about our rockets, because we want those to work. Okay, so we are at the launch complex, not launch complex, sorry, we're in the VAB. We're going to want to load the 2C, and I'm thinking I actually want to make this cylinder as aerodynamics would suggest, smaller surface area, less drag. So about this, you should only need about 40 kilojoules. And how much delta V is this? 51 seconds. Can we go up to minute 8? Sure. And let's make this slightly more like that, just so we know it's a different design. Do we want a different solid motor? Maybe not. I think the Tiny Tim's okay actually. Yeah. If we get a second Tiny Dim, that may be a bit much though. No, I'm okay with that. Featuring a slimmer and elongated fuel tank. And I think later we will design the Blackthorn, which would be a wider sounding rocket, probably using the Veronique. Which incidentally, how wide is that? Okay, does it have any other variants? No. Well, yes, but not visually. So that looks to be maybe 0.5 wide. That wouldn't be too bad for an upgrade. Also, as this is now the last of its line, I think I'm going to purchase all toolings, and now it'll only take 16 days to build. That's amazing. So now we can print these off very quickly. So let's add 2 while we're here. Why not? Okay, welcome back. It is 6 AM and this wind is working exactly as I wanted. It's only a light breeze, so let's launch. And of course, this is working perfectly in that we will now have to wait for my input before we launch, rather than being a hurried mess. I'm going to double check the staging, that looks fine. I'm going to prepare everything. And by everything I mean this. So, I'm going to hit enter, and we're going to launch. And I'm going to okay, the engine failed to ignite. I suppose this is where having a parachute would be useful, because we could recover a failed launch. Maybe I'll think about that for the Veronique based. I think I'm going to call it a Blackthorn. Also, and it's speedy wind. Okay. I'm going to get back to see when the next Aspen has been built. Okay, it is now 8 AM on a completely different day, and we're ready to launch the Aspen 2D. I suppose this is the second go of this, right? Yeah. So, launch. And we ignite it, that's great. There is a slight problem here. We want this to be left padded so we don't get the extra meter not removed. And we don't really want any 0.00 for the mission lifetime because it's only in second units. Anyway, let us see. Up to 30 kilometers. Maybe we should add an axis display here as well. That might be useful. How goes our science? None yet because we're not flying high. Okay. Okay, the engine has flamed out. What altitude do we think we've achieved? We've reached a carbon line. That's awesome. Probably. Let's hope we don't drop 8 kilometers due to drag. Okay, so the Aspen has finally breached the carbon line, which is exactly what it was designed for. I guess there really is no reason why not to go and design the Blackthorn. Also, this wind is amazing. Look, it has pushed us away from perfectly vertical, which is exactly what I wanted by having this enabled. I wanted this sort of randomness. Let's have a look around. Oh, we've never been this high up before, it looks great. And, oh look, we're getting others. I assume others there is KOS. Okay. And there we go. We've reached space. Let's take a look. There's the Bristol Channel. There's London. Oh, we've never seen the UK from this high before. Not from one of our own rockets. And, oh, 2 bits per second. And it's actually bits per second this time. Now, we've only got 3 minutes worth of electric charge, so maybe dropping this down to 40 was a bit too overzealous. Oh, the Principia thing changed. I didn't even notice that. We're now in the Earth-centered frame. I think Earth-centered inertial frame, I think is what ECI stands for. Presumably because we are in space currently. Yes. Oh, this is amazing. I'm surprised we are... Oh, well, I suppose that's still over the horizon. And oh, look at our launch track. This is great. I am having a great time. That's where we came from. This is amazing. Okay, well, I suppose we just sail in tranquility all the way down and hope our electric charge lasts long enough for us to get some more science. I'm going to keep that open so we can keep an eye on it. Can I move this over here? Yeah, excellent. No, I'm thinking it would be really nice if rather than it just being raw seconds, it was standard hour, minute, second. I suppose day, hour, minute, second. That would be a nice change to make to this moving forward. Ah, we are coming in hot. And our batteries are already almost empty, yes. Communicating the science back, let's hope we can get... Oh, we've never had to deal with re-entry heating before. Are we going to see an explosion? Be nice if we did. Well, I feel like that was a perfect encapsulation for the Aspen series of launch. Oh, we got 33 kilometers away from the site. That's amazing. Ah, we have a newspaper. That's amazing. Oh. This also didn't exist last time I was here. Okay, so... I think I'm going to make these small changes here, just while I'm thinking about them, and then we can do... yeah, and then we can maybe think about designing the platform. So, what do I want? Well, I want to append maybe 6 places here, just to make sure that if there's any M's left over, those are automatically overwritten. Maybe we even want to left pad so the decimal point doesn't move around. That is something we will investigate another time. But this, we don't actually want this to decimals. We always want to do to time. Let's go and do that. Format a time string as a day, hour, minute, second. I think second is uppercase. I forget. So function to time and the number. Oh, parameter number. Or I suppose, yeah. So what we really want to do is turn. Well, we want the days. So is it time span of number? Days. There we go. I can type. And we want, there is actually a timestamp, I believe it's called, which is basically the counterpart to time span, which is here, yes. If we do timestamp, we can then get the clock time by just doing clock. So, plus time span, no, sorry, timestamp, I'm getting mixed up here. and that will automatically format. Okay, well maybe, no, it's not happy. Okay, so the language server I'm using for this might be slightly out of date, which is unfortunate, because I'm looking at it on the wiki and this definitely exists. Yeah, timestamp bar, year, day, hour, minute, seconds. And we just want to reclaim the days, so we'll use that. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to do there. So, design. I will also actually do a much nicer UI for a bit. Oh, also, totally a bit catch up. I want to hit anything. No, not hit. Press anything to begin launch sequence, rather than having an empty terminal. This will at least tell us that something's happening. Yes. Okay, well, I think I'm going to end it here, and then we can get along designing Blackthorn next time, and that will be exciting. We've got a few contracts that we can now change as we have finally completed our command line stuff. So, I will see you all next time.